What a remarkable atmosphere it was today. I thought the energy in the building really willed us. One moment to me that will always stand out to me in being a part of this and was walking off the court at halftime, and I don't know, maybe you probably got a reason to boo the way we played the first half, but I mean, there were people cheering for us. And I thought, man, what a phenomenal place to play basketball, man, where you don't play your best, but you got people cheering for you, and our guys didn't panic. And sitting next to a guy that I thought, just like the other day, he wasn't going to let us lose this basketball game. And in timeouts and at halftime, communicating those things that we needed to get better at. And I thought we improved over the course of the game to hold them to 15% from three in the second half, and where they started out with 10 and held them to three. And then just our competitiveness and our ability to get out and score some easy baskets and get ourselves back in the game. Just thought we did it with our defense and his grit, and really a blessing to be a part of this atmosphere and coach and be around this team every day. Because the fight you saw in the second half is the fight that they show every day and the way they love each other. And it's awesome to be a part of.
Well, Pop, let's talk about that second half. What got into you? It looked like you were playing a little bit angry there, maybe just kind of more determined than normal.
I just knew it was a must-win game for us. You're playing in the Big 12, a super hard conference like this where every game is tough. Obviously, we're all paying attention to the other games and stuff. And I'm not sure if Coach pays attention to it, but all of us do. We always want to stay a step ahead in the standings and stuff like that. You're going to get your bumps and bruises on the way, but, I just didn't want to let us lose this game. That was my biggest thing. Anything, it was going to take to win, that's what I was, just trying to do. And, it was a great atmosphere that usually, I just have fun playing in those atmospheres. So that's probably why you said I looked a little angry or something like that.
Well, what was kind of the big switch for you guys from the first half, second half? Was it just kind of locking in on everything that you weren't doing well in the first there?
Yeah, we knew we were going to start scoring. We're going to make shots. We just have to find the openings, and we knew their defense was going to break eventually. So we weren't really worried about the offense, but we knew they had 10 threes the first half. That's unacceptable, and they had damn near 50 points. So we just knew if we were going to, even get back in the game, we had to start guarding, and that's what we did.
Just what have the last couple of weeks since the start of Big 12 play been like for you from the team perspective outside, just everything that's kind of gone on?
It's been great, honestly. My teammates have been there for me. They've all had my back, and I've been having fun. Playing basketball, playing the game I love. So, honestly, everything's been pretty good. So,
who was helping you out the most, getting you open and giving you the best screens for today?
I think anybody who got down there and set a pin down for me or a back screen for me or anything like that. Warren, Darion, Kerwin, I feel like even Joe. All of those dudes did their best to get me open, and I just appreciate them for that. I feel like even throughout the year, they've all, always told me throughout the games, we're looking for you, we're going to find you. So just credit to them, honestly.
And talk about the crowd and how this crowd willed you guys from being down to, when you hit those back-to-back threes, they came alive.
Yeah, for sure. The crowd here is amazing, man. That was part of the reason why I committed to Texas Tech. It's just because I knew how, live the atmosphere was and how supportive the home crowd was and the people in Lubbock are and all the Tech fans are. So, honestly, that crowd willed us, man. It wasn't sold out, but it dang near looked like it was, and it was super loud in there, man. So I love playing in this gym, man. It's so fun.
Popped 17 of 18 free throws combined with the team, 5 guys getting that done. Can you talk on that?
Yeah, we're a really good free throw shooting team. Always have been, and we got guys who calm demeanors and just want to go up there and make shots. We work on them almost every day. Coach is big on that, and always telling us to hold our follow through and things like that, stick to shots. So we work on them, and it's paying off for us. So.
Coach, I guess going into the game, what was the strategy, how y'all were going to play screens as far as switching went, and then how did that maybe change as the game kind of went on?
Yeah, the game felt very similar to the Northern Iowa game, almost identical in regards to the pace that they were attacking us. And it's hard to replicate it with that many guys that can shoot in the closeouts in a short turnaround, much like that game. But I do trust our work. I can tell you this, we practiced really hard. So at first, we got caught really personnel-wise a few times not doing what we were supposed to do. But the pace of it causes those problems because they were moving so quickly and the actions happened so fast, and then they made a few threes, and then you feel like you're on your heels. I did feel like once we settled in and started playing personnel better, it made a big difference. And I did feel like our physicality at some point could play a big factor. Like how long can you keep this up? Like this movement, this pace, this physicality. And we trusted our guys. I mean, we said at halftime we did a few things different, but the biggest thing was like, let's just make sure we get all these personnel reads right. Like instead of chasing a guy that we feel like is a better driver over the top, let's make sure and go under and give space and stay in between him and the basket. We did that like 4 times in the first 12 minutes of the game, and we haven't been doing that. So I think just the pace which they moved caused us to be confused on personnel, and then we settled in, obviously, in the second half.
And you forced 8 turnovers in the second half. It really didn't seem like they wanted to put the ball on the floor very often. What did y'all maybe do in the second half to try and speed them up and kind of force them into those situations?
Well, we went under the screens we were supposed to go under, and we gap helped on guys that we felt like would give us an advantage. And then Warren played up and back, and I think Warren got fatigued and hit the bottom a little bit in the first half, and so then he started kind of chasing his man, and you got to be a great helper, and you got to be super active. And I think Warren learned in the first half, like, this is what I need to do. But it's hard to replicate it when you're in practice. You kind of got to get out there and experience it to know how many different actions they put you in one possession. I mean, it can be, a stagger to a get to a ball screen to another stagger, and then all of a sudden Warren's got to move 4 different directions with ball pressure, and we just don't do that a lot. And I thought Warren learned as the game went on, and then the game slows down a little bit more for you, and you start to see what it is that you're playing against, and you start to make it more difficult on them. And then the biggest thing was we just couldn't rebound, and that's what they do great. They push you underneath the rim and go grab it when it comes off the rim. They just collapse the box outs. And so we I just told them, like, that's where we had to get better because our team got better defensively, but even down the stretch, we came up with a few in the last couple minutes, but they kept getting offensive rebounds.
Coach, with Warren in the first half and you guys not obviously clicking offensively, he kept you afloat, being able to score a little bit. I think he was in double digits at the break. He has 19, and then Pop takes over the second half, I guess. Offensively, how did you execute what you were trying to do against this pretty stout BYU defense?
Yeah, it's a great defense. And the same thing, early in the game, from an attack standpoint, we did some things that were uncharacteristic of what we needed to do to win the game. And part of it's the atmosphere, and part of it is with that deep drop, it looks like there's a lot of openings down there. And they bait you into some semi-decent shots when you can, if you keep attacking, you can get better ones. And I felt like we were more patient as the game went on and started figuring out where the angles were and what we were trying to get. And then obviously we put the ball, in different scenarios in the second half that gave us some different leads. And I thought Pop took advantage of that.
And yesterday you spoke about how dangerous Khalifa is from a passing perspective. Today in the second half, he's able to, score and distribute a bunch. I guess when you're able to cool them down from 3, how big of a threat was he in the second half?
Yeah, well, I think that's where you trade maybe some 2s for some 3s, and what you give up when you're trying to take away 3s is maybe some contested 2s. I just thought we left our feet and our rotation wasn't as tight as it needed to be down the stretch, but we did make it difficult over the course of that last 20 minutes to where the advantage was taken away. Great 3-point shots to give them contested 2s.
Just how big of a difference is it from Houston to BYU? Because they're 2 different styles, but how do you think you guys kind of handled and adjusted to the physicality of Houston to maybe a little bit more the finesse of BYU?
Well, what I was thrilled about at the 9-minute mark and the other day, at Houston, we were fatigued defensively, and it kind of broke at that point, and felt like they kind of stretched a little bit, got it to 5, and like, is this gonna be about all we got? Because we put ourselves back in position, and that's what I was thrilled about. I mean, I think we played our best defense in the last 3 minutes of that game. A lot has to do with this building, and this building wills you to some wins. But also, I thought our guys' fight defensively was really great, even though we got fatigued, and that was a big part of making sure that we could stretch this lead.
Did you have any special conversations with Pop while he was going on this little tear in the second half, especially not just the scoring, but he had the assists, rebounds, steals, got some deflections in there. Did you say anything to him, like just keep this going, keep the momentum going?
Well, I think every time out, that's what you love. There's a lot of conversations going on, but specifically with him, what I'll tell you what Pop's done well is when we get in these timeouts, he's talking about the things that help us win, you know? And I think in those moments, sometimes you can say, get me the ball. He's never said that once. It's like, hey, how do we get let's get stops. How do we guard this? How do we do this? And then we're putting actions in, and these guys are communicating well on what's working and what we need to try to do to create opportunities for us. And that's what you love about coaching. And that's how you stretch leads and win, is when those guys have the mindset of what needs to happen, as opposed to me trying to tell them what we need to do. They start understanding it and talking about it and doing it as the court. And that's where I'll give you Pop's a lot of credit. He's really believing in what we're doing and communicating well with his teammates.
Down 16 at half, how critical was it to didn't erase the entire thing, but you got it under 10 in single digits, really in a hurry? Did you think that keyed the whole second half?
Definitely. You know, I mean, I love being here at Texas Tech, and Coach Myers comes to a lot of practices, and I got to hug Coach Myers before I went in the locker room, and he said, man, this is probably emotionally, he's like, man, it's like the best comeback win I've seen here at Tech, you know, and he's seen a lot of basketball, I'd say. So the momentum in the second half to get stops and play off their misses and get transition and create, you know, a smaller gap was huge. I mean, you just felt it like, crud, we're in for it, you know, like this is going to be hard. And yes, we want it to be hard on people here, and that's the only way you win championships.
You start out 0 for 9 in the first half, and then they struggle in the second half. As this team goes on, do you feel like this team can battle into any situation at any place whatsoever the way they played that second half?
Yeah, we all know this. If you want to be the toughest team and you really believe that, then it's 40 minutes. It doesn't ever stop. It doesn't matter what the score is. This is what I told them, and that's what we talked about, and honestly, specifically to the Houston game. I mean, I don't really care what the score is. There's a way to play this game, and if you don't play it with that grit, it doesn't matter. The score is always going to not be in your favor. So I'll tell you, with our team, with this team, they do believe that, and they do see that. And when we watched it on film, you know, it's just there's a few areas where you got to compete, and I did love the way our guys fought today.
Talk about the fire that this team has and you have when you know that you can depend on Red Raider Nation to come and support you and to, as you said, not boo when you're down 16 and a half.
Yeah, it's a remarkable it's a remarkable atmosphere, but you have to match it with physicality and competing defensively. That's the way you always win. If you're going to try to outscore people, it's a fun way to do it, but it's not a real way to do it ultimately. And that's where I feel like our identity is starting to really fortify, like, hey, if we can get stops. And that's what they talked about at halftime. That's what we talked about, is how are we going to do that. And Pop mentioned it up here, and got to continue to believe that and do it every day.
Does it seem to you that your team plays its best when its back is against the wall for whatever reason?
Yeah, just a resilient group that gets challenged every day, and they accept the challenge. I mean, it's not fun to get challenged every day. You don't want people telling you, like, this isn't good enough. It's not fun. But these guys embrace that. And honestly, it's brought them closer together, where when you get in our practices and you see them and you're around our guys, they're really accepting of it being difficult, and they want it to be difficult. And that's why I was staring at them when we came out of the half. I mean, came out of a timeout at Houston. with like 9 minutes to go and it kind of started getting away from him. I'm just looking at them all and I like, who really likes this? Who likes it when it gets hard? And those guys end up winning. And so just to challenge them in that regard, and these guys love it. They do believe in it. And it's fun to watch them feel like we're still going to win no matter what the odds are against us. Score, whatever you want to call it, physicality, three-pointers getting rained on your head. I mean, just who wants to fight, play. Tell them at halftime, too, this is fun. If you don't like doing this, then you shouldn't go sit in the stands. Like, this is fun. It's, all right, so we didn't play great defensively. Let's go figure out a way to win this game, and that's what these guys do.
Coach, that second half, it looked like a little bit less side to side and more just, downhill, especially with that pick and roll. Was that a point of emphasis, with the guards especially?
Yeah, we were able to create a few more advantages and get the right matchups that we wanted. I thought early some of our matchups didn't give us the best advantage to put them on their heels. And later on in the second half, we started getting better matchups in those ball screens in the middle, and it caused them problems. They didn't know who was supposed to be in it, what their roles were. It looked like at time. But, man, trust me, that's a really good team. They're going to cause a lot of people problems. And we have a lot of respect for BYU. I have a lot of respect for Coach Pope. He's super gracious. And, man, that's a team that is not fun to play against when they're humming.
Coach, I saw a stat recently. If you talk about runs against you and runs that you go on, y'all are one of the top teams in the nation. I guess, what do you think that kind of fluctuation is down to?
Well, we're not real physical, honestly, like just from a size standpoint. And I think that causes leverage points that lead to rebounding and lead to difficulty to keep the ball away from the basket efficiently. So when you do that, and we can score. This team can shoot. We got multiple guys that can make threes with Warren as a lob threat, and we can get to the free throw line. And today, I mean, if you look at this, second chance points, they were 18-7, but everything else was pretty much even except for fast break points and points off turnovers. And I thought that was kind of the difference in the game. It's like, how do you finally get stops? And because of our ability to make threes, we can cause problems the same way that they can. It's just when you don't have the physical nature that you need to really impose your will, you're going to kind of end up trading some, and not the way we want to do it. Ultimately, in the end, we want to be the more physical team for 40 minutes. But in this scenario, I think our team's capable of handling runs and then going on runs in order to separate. Thank you all.